So you want to buy a PlayStation 5. You want to buy an Xbox Series X. But what do you buy? You don't know. Well, here's just a few things that you might consider before you buy or pre-order. Let's get to it. Let's see what we got here. All right. So let's talk about the Xbox and PlayStation 5's price, right? Here we go. Let's do this. All right. Here we go. So PS5, Xbox Series X. What's the difference? Real quick, let's talk about this price. Same price. They're both 500, except for Xbox Series S is going to be $299. Awesome. And then the digital version of the PlayStation 5 is going to be $399 as well. Or no, $499, right? $399. So $399 and $499, so $500 and $400. With the exception of the Series S, is $300, so $299, which is a great deal, right? Let's talk about why you would want a PS5 or why you would want a Xbox Series X. Exclusives, right? According here to, what website is this? Tom's Guide. Perfect. I love Tom's Guide. We got Spider-Man Miles Morales, Horizon Zero Dawn, Forbidden West, Gran Turismo 7. Xbox side, you got Halo Infinite, Senua Saga, Hellblade 2, Forza Motorsport 8, State of Decay 3. Now, Halo Infinite was delayed. I mean, most of these games were delayed. Okay, we do have some launch titles, but I think Spider-Man is a launch title. And Horizon Zero Dawn, I love it. I played on PC. But at the end of the day, what are you really getting? Both use the same CPUs, basically, clock a little higher, a little lower. Now, the GPU is where they differ. PS5 has a 10.3 teraflop RDNA 2. Xbox Series X, a 12 teraflops, a little bit more powerful. And both have the same RAM, 16 gigs. Now, the storage is where they differ. Apparently, the PlayStation 5 is like a super fast SSD that can load everything up in real time. No loading times, will be perfect, super fast, amazing. And then the Xbox Series X will have measly NVMe SSD. I mean, theoretically, they're both similar, but the way it's used a little bit different. Resolution up to 8K, both up to 8K. Frame rate up to 220 frames. And optical disc drive, 4K, Blu-ray drive. Okay. So basically, you're getting very similar performance out of all these machines. Similar. The problem that I have when I talk about consoles is going to be the resolution and the frame rate, right? Up to 8K. 8K what? Movies? Videos? What? Definitely not gaming. Frame rate, 120 frame rates, a 4K, a 1080p, a 1440p, what? The problem is that a lot of these marketing things are just going to be like, well, up to 8K, up to 8K, up to 120 frames. But hardware has limits. You know, there's a limit for power consumption. There's a limit for heat dissipation. It's really hard to put into context what all that means when it comes down to performance, right? Look at Crysis Remastered just launched a few days ago. And you have to understand, I think on the Series X, sorry, the Xbox One X, sorry, there's so many Xboxes now. It has three ways to run it. It has performance mode, quality mode, and ray tracing mode. Now, the CryEngine, they were able to do in software ray tracing, which looks great. But what I'm talking about is that's a console that has almost a 6 teraflop GPU, and it runs a performance on 60 frames a second in 4K, but with a lot of stuttering, it glitches, things like that. Now in quality mode, it runs it at 4K 30. Again, 4K 30, right? Then you go to ray tracing mode where it tries to run it at a comparable frame rate, but there's just so much going on that it struggles. There's a lot of glitches, there's a lot of stuttering. Digital Foundry has a really good video on it, so you want to go check that out. It's very impressive. But I just want people to understand the limitations of these consoles. They're gonna be very limited, especially at the beginning. So don't go out there and buy one just because they're new. You know, a lot of these games that are coming out now, they're either gonna be delayed or you can play them on your current consoles now. All the new games, with the exception of a few, are gonna be playable. Now, exclusives are key, sure. But I will, like, I'm a PC gamer, so I don't really have a dog in either fight. But I will tell you one thing. Xbox's Game Pass it's an amazing deal. There's so many games that I would never have played if if I um if I didn't really have the if I didn't have Game Pass, I wouldn't play those games. I really wouldn't. So understand the the value of Game Pass. There's a lot of indie games. There's a lot of I think all Xbox exclusives or their first day release date. They're boom on Game Pass. So I mean I paid on Game Pass I think for the last 6 months on PC like $50 or around there. But I played the Outer Worlds, a lot of these indie titles, Gears 5, all the Master Chief Collection, right? I played all these games, and I think it's really underrated if you don't think of that as a good value, right? But let's talk about value, right? We go to, I mean, Xbox or Microsoft just bought ZeniMax, right? According to VG's charts here, let's look at all the studios they bought with ZeniMax. So they got the Bethesda Game Studios, which is basically Fallout, Oblivion, Skyrim. Oh, sorry, not Fallout. Oh yeah, Fallout. That's right. Plus two confirmed upcoming titles: Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. It's software, right? Quake, Rage, Doom. Arcane Studios. They're doing Deathloop, which is coming out for PC exclusive. Or sorry, console, PS5 exclusive, but also PC. But you never know with the Microsoft acquisition that might come later to Xbox. They also do Wolfenstein Youngblood, and some other ones I don't even know about. Machine Games, Wolfenstein. What is this? Wolfenstein Youngblood, Follow Up on New Colossus. Tango Gameworks, which is Devil Within, with a few more coming up. Room 2. I mean, there's all these, I mean, they're heavy hitters, you know. I might have messed up a few there, but my point is, with this, they're acquiring a lot of different developers. So, you know, a lot of these new games, they're gonna be day one available on Game Pass. That's an amazing deal. I would not pass it up. That is an amazing deal. Even now, again, there's a lot of games I've never have played, if I didn't have Game Pass. So, to me, value is important. You know, value is incredibly important. And honestly, if you don't think it's a big deal, if you rather go play, if you love God of War or these other PlayStation exclusive, hey, that's a great deal too. You know, I'm not here to tell you what to buy, what not to buy. I'm just trying to tell you the value of Game Pass is incredible. And I will say, you know, PlayStation has amazing exclusives. I'm not a big fan of The Last of Us. I'm not a big fan of the Nathan Drake game, Uncharted, Horizon Zero Dawn. I will say that since I bought it on PC, that's a great game. That's a great game. I wouldn't buy a console for it, but it's a great game. God of War, it's pretty good. It's not my type of game, but I can see how people might like it. Now they have Demon Souls coming out. Again, not my type of game, but that a lot of people are gonna buy that console just for that game. So hey, you do you. But you know, don't forget about if you don't have a Switch, right? I mean, I have a Switch right here. If you don't have a Switch, there are some great games coming out. I know the new Zelda, Age of Calamity is coming out. I love Breath of the Wild. Definitely picked that up. I bought Smash Brothers is great. I just bought the new one that came out, the Mario Collection, All Stars 3D Collection. I never played 3D Mario 3D or 3D World. I never played it. I never had a Nintendo 64. I never had one. It was out of my reach at the time. Every console that I've purchased in my life, I've basically paid for it, with the exception of the Super Nintendo. My dad bought that, but I digress. So don't let all these different things. Don't let the newness blind you from just buying a new console. Don't let that happen. You know, there's a lot of different factors that I think people should wait and see what happens, what other things get acquired or what other things get announced. Me, I'm a PC gamer. You know, for me, there's just so much stuff going on. But for me, the problem is that I know too much about hardware to really get hyped about these consoles. Look, the consoles are great. They're amazing pieces of machinery. They're amazing. But there is a limit to the hardware and what it can do. Promising this 4K 120 hertz, I think that's selling it a little bit too much. It's not easy running that kind of power. It's not. It's incredibly difficult. I mean, I've been able to run 4K 30 since years ago. My 1070 could do it. I have a 2070 now, and I'm planning to get a 3080 or maybe something from an AMD if something comes out that's pretty good. But running games at high resolutions, high refresh rate is really difficult, and I hope people understand that. Exclusives are awesome. Exclusives are awesome, but if you only like one game, in my opinion, I think this generation, I think I would still go Xbox just because Game Pass is such a gigantic deal to me. I don't have that much time to play games anymore. So for me, not having to pay for $60 for a game and just paying, $10 or $15 a month as a service, and just being able to just pick up and play a game whenever I have time, like, oh, that looks interesting. Let me just play that, download that, play that. It's just a great deal. I mean, I do it now on my PC. I have Game Pass for PC, and it doesn't have the selection that the Xbox Game Pass has, but there's been games that I've never have played if they weren't on there. So think about that. Don't let shiny new things sway you. If you have a console that works fine, you can play everything on, don't buy a new thing. Cyberpunk is the next game that I'm really excited for. So, and that's available in everything. I mean, I'm buying on PC, but it's available in everything. So don't let that sway you. Wait, see what's good, what's bad, and then make a decision. Spend those hard-earned bucks in something that you really want. Okay. All right, guys. Well, that'll be it for me today. Thank you for watching, and I hope I swayed you not to buy a console. Don't buy one, and if you do, buy a Switch. You really like the Switch. I promise. Till next time, guys.